Crocker, and this is our research article critique number 5. For this article, I've chosen a research article that is Collaborative Composing in High School String Chamber Music Ensembles. It was published in the 62nd fourth part edition of Journal of Research in Music Education, and it's on page 405 to 402. This article talks about how the composition is included as one of the new national standards, but how very few secondary music teachers that teach like band and strings actually teach composition in their day-to-day coursework. It discusses like different factors that can be involved in that sort of stuff. They quote several other literature reviews in that part. It's got studies by and Hopkins, who is the author of this current study, a previous study of his, that show less than a certain percentage of teachers actually use that in there. It talks about the purpose of this study. It's to evaluate collaborative composing assignments conducted in a classroom. This assignment aims to answer 2 research questions presented by Hopkins. The questions for this research study are: how do high school string instrumentalists and chamber music ensembles use verbal and musical forms of communication to collaboratively compose a piece of music, which is a mouthful? And how do selected variables, music performance and composing experience, quality of group collaboration, gender grouping, perceptions of the project influence the process of composing collaboratively in a high school chamber music ensemble? And the last question he asks is, what variables influence the quality of the resulting collaborative composition? He uses high school students from a Midwestern United States town to do this experiment with. The town population is 5,000, which I believe is actually kind of interesting because it's kind of the same demographics of the town that I'm from. The total high school enrollment is 940 students, and the students that participate in the orchestra program are 105 students. The school was selected because the teacher has a composing it has a composition project already embedded into his curriculum, and the Hopkins study 2014 used that study that was used the assignment that the teacher was already doing to base his study on and get data off of it based on that. The method for this and the procedure for this experiment is he had students from this 105-member group into 3, 4, or 5 students and compose a 2 to 4 minute improvised work that they had to record and write down and compose that piece. They were given a specific rubric for the creation of this piece, and they were scored at the end of it based on that rubric. And they had different point values for each different subject that they wanted to study. Based on relevance and importance. When the study was completed, it was shown that all in all, if you're worried about the composition things having a lot of students distracted and not working and talking about other things besides music composition, that between half and 1/3 of the time spent on this activity was wasted by students not working on composing the music. It was also shown that the students who were stronger students and took private lessons, had more to do with the class, usually led the projects, and the lower performing students didn't get quite as much of a say in the project as the students who hauled all of the work for the project. But the students did fairly decent with the survey overall. The author of the article gave a lot of suggestions for teachers that want to emulate this sort of assignment in their own courses, like pairing lower performing students with higher performing students to cut down on time wasted, and to also have a rubric of how the lower performing students need to say this amount of things and the higher performing students are responsible for this part, so it's not the high achieving students taking control of the entire project by themselves and doing just that. It also talks about how you need a very large differentiation background to pull this off, because if you have a grouping of students who are used to composing and do it frequently with their instrument or improvise frequently, like some of the students who were multi-instrumentalists in this study did and took part in jazz band or bluegrass bands and that sort of stuff, you need to be able to relax some of the restrictions on those kids so that they can actually have more creativity. And if you have lower performing students who don't play any other instrument besides the one that they play and don't do anything outside of class, you might want to have a lot of restrictions just to make sure that they perform on the rubric. This article had a lot of really interesting things. I want to try to include more composing in my classroom, and we've done a little bit of work on it and talking about themes and form. But I do understand a lot of the concerns that the author had about certain students taking over a major role of the class, and also the highest performing students being bored if they were giving too many stipulations. One of the things that I found interesting about this article is I know for a fact general music teachers that I've observed in my 509 class, that's Dr. Swanson's 509 class, we've been talking about and had demonstrated a lot of composition that you can do with elementary school students on ORF instruments. And I think that if you have a lot of I'm doing hand gestures with my hands, but if you have a lot of practice and you know how to form your strategy easily and make it work for your instrument, I feel like you can have a great deal of success working with your students on composition, and they can get a lot out of it as well. Thank you all for listening to my article critique. I hope you all have a wonderful night.